기쁨의 찬지 와라지라 무제 구관제 마소소비자모
Winding down my time here in Zaleka refugee camp. I think first impressions, I'm very much impressed by the resourcefulness of the people here. The greatest need, the greatest opportunity that Africa has is for the Church of Africa, to become strong. My time here, this is the impression that's been left with me, that for us as Westerners, the best thing that we can do is pray for the Church and help the Church in Africa become strong and healthy to influence the leadership of Africa. The Church is the hope of the world, and the African Church is the hope, the only hope that Africa has. I tell you, one of the things that has fascinated me is to understand the heart that the refugees here have for their host country and the people of Malawi. They understand that even though they are refugees in this place, that they have fled the place of their homeland, that even though they are not given much from the government, they still are given something, which is much more than the Malawian people are given. And these refugees have a heart for their brothers and sisters outside of the camp, and these people who are aliens in this country are actually see themselves as missionaries to this country. And so in our visit with some of the pastors from Pentecostal Church's community, we went out and about 40 minutes from here, and we drove to a church that they planted in Limbanzi. And to hear the story from Pastor Shadrach and Pastor Pascal and Pastor Deo, how they planted two churches on a hillside, and how they began to pray that God would do a work through them. Their desire was to build a church for the Malawian people. And so they continued to pray, and they built a small building, a small church, probably just 20 by 40 feet. And they saw that as God continued to provide it, as they used the resources that were available there, making brick by hand, hauling water 500 yards away to that place, and they began to meet there and establish a pastor there. And yet they weren't satisfied with that. They had a greater vision that God would give them the ability to build a large church in that place, because looking over the town you can see that there are many people who live in that place. And so they continued to pray, and it was just fascinating to see this massive building that was built by hand. Again, bricks formed and dried on site from water that was hauled 500 yards away uphill. It is just amazing, the tenacity, the vision, and the prayers that they had for these people, their heart to reach out to the people. Just really strikes me that these people, as much as they are aliens, as much as they don't want to be in this place, they are using their time here to make a difference in the kingdom of God. And for that they are blessed, and for that Africa is blessed. And it challenges me to think about the conditions in which they live and the impact that they're having in the midst of this. And the passing of time is fascinating here. The markets are always busy on the main street. Many conversations happening. Church becomes a center of life, a center of activity for many of these people. With Sunday services, Wednesday services, and Friday services. Their choirs are many. Fascinating to watch them take offering at their celebration and giving. because they know it's good for them, but giving in the faith and knowledge that as they give and release their hearts, that God too will bless and give back. One of the greatest needs that the people have here in Malawi, that leaders see, is the need to educate their children. One church proclaimed that they stated it this way, that our children are dying. So education for their children is very important. They know that the only way out of this place is for them to be able to speak English. And because they are refugees. Good morning. Interrupted there by a greeting from one of the ladies here at the church. This particular church, our Pentecostal churches community, has actually established 2 preschool rooms that they are working on, and they are active with over 90 children, refugee children who are here, and actually some Malawian children that are coming to get an education.
Okay, is he right? Yes, sun give us light, because if we see light, we see sun.
Frame it as this is our great disaster as refugees, is that our children are not being educated and they're not being challenged, and so they have a dream also to help just beyond even the preschool and to get into working with primary and secondary education. Both churches talk about the potential of having even a Bible college of some sort to begin to, again, further education and all that. Education is very important, and there aren't many opportunities here for Malawians, especially for refugees to gain that kind of education. And so they're really owning that. They're seeing that is one of their greatest needs that is coming up. There are 63 churches of faith, some kind of faith, here in the camp, ranging from cult to Islamic faith and Christian faith. Out of those 63, there are 48 that are more evangelical, and those. So there has been a union that has been established of these organizations of faith, and so at some level, the 63 communities of faith leaders have gotten together and are talking about issues that face the refugees. The Malawian government has actually recognized this union here in the camp and has turned over much of the conflict resolution to these leaders, which is a really good thing. It gives them ownership, and they're able to help in that process of conflict resolution. The churches, the 48 that are together, have meet on a regular basis, and they too have begun to talk about how they can make changes, provide helps to the refugees, and how they can work better together. And this is a great first step for the camp. It's good to see these churches working together rather than everybody working differently and trying to find out their way. And so some really good things are on the horizon for the camp with the establishment of this union. I think it's only about 1.5 years old, and so it'll be fascinating to see how IAFR and there is hope we'll be able to walk alongside them in that matter, and to help establish. That God is here and God is present in many ways that He is not present in the States. And I would encourage, each of us as we think about what God is calling us to do is to understand how He works in different ways in different communities. So rather than exchanging goods and services, we are exchanging love and friendship and prayers. The greatest resource we have is prayers.